considered all the angles. I'm going legit, trust me.
You're right. You are good, but you don't have eyes in the back of your head. You want out? You want to walk away? Clean? You got to cut ties with everybody who knows who you are.
There are many people that have given up on Ghost returning to power. Whether it may be due to the numerous interviews that Omari Hardwick and 50 Cent have done, or whether it's due to Ghost not showing up in the finale of Power Book 2. Or you may just be feeling like there have been too many years that have passed for them to bring Ghost's character back. We already know that Starz reached out to Omari Hardwick over a year ago to return to power. But they wouldn't agree to whatever his asking price was. Since then, Starz have cut numerous shows on their network, and that should have been the first sign that they obviously want to bring Ghost back into the Power universe. Even if we look at the recent teases that we got at the Power Award show last year, where they worded Angela's death differently than they did with Ghost, it's blatantly obvious that they are leaving the door wide open for a possible Ghost return. But the only problem is that it may not be any time in the near future. You may not have realized it just yet, but we are currently right in the middle of one of the biggest drawn-out storylines in television history. But I'll get back to that later. Now I'm sure that most of you tuning in have already seen my previous Ghost Town videos within the series, but for those of you who haven't, I will give a quick rundown of everything. I've covered how Ghost intentionally made everyone mad who he suspected that wanted him dead, while also pointing out the many different plot holes and inaccurate perspectives that took place in the final 5 episodes in Season 6, with different perspectives showing different interactions. I also covered my theory on Tommy and possibly Tasha both being aware of Ghost being alive, and how Tommy, Tasha, and Tariq have all gotten that same type of envelope after Ghost's supposed death. I unraveled one of the biggest moments that went unnoticed in Tariq's perspective episode, when the server from Club Truth watched at a distance as Tariq stashed the gun. Along with everything that I just mentioned, I also highlighted how Ghost could have a number of different people to keep tabs on what Tariq is doing, like attorney Daniel Warren and RSJ. And in one of my most recent Ghost Town videos, I took a deeper look into Ramona and how she could have helped Ghost pull everything off, with the help of the security guard who appeared in episode 10. There weren't just 1 or 2 people that helped Ghost pull everything off. For Ghost to get out of the game for good, he needed a team of people that had power, that could call shots on both the legal and financial side of things. A lot of people's main argument for Ghost being dead is the fact that Detective Blanca Rodriguez stated how a cell phone was recovered from his dead body. But so many people have forgotten the scene that took place with Steven out of the DNC, where he got Blanca's boss fired and kicked out of the department. If Steven had enough power to do something like that, then he definitely could have gotten a hold of Blanca and told her what to say and how to go about handling Ghost's situation. Now, of course, in the past, I have brought up how there is no way that the ambulance arrived at Club Truth within minutes of Ghost being shot, when we never even saw anyone call them in the first place. Now there's something that I never mentioned ever on my channel before. Back when I dropped my video on the perspectives being different and how nothing took place like it was shown to us, someone reached out to me on Instagram who was actually part of the writing team for Power at that time. I verified that he was legit after viewing his page and seeing all the different shows that he has worked on as a writer. This person sent me a very brief encrypted DM stating how I wasn't that far off at all on my theory about the perspectives being different for a specific reason. I replied by asking him to go further on what he meant, but he never replied. After that moment, I knew that I was onto something. After going back and rewatching those final 5 episodes, I noticed something once again. In the final moments before Ghost's supposed death, both Dre and Tommy's perspective episodes had a major plot hole that I believe was done intentionally that a lot of people didn't even notice. If we go back to Dre's perspective episode, the timing is completely off between the moment that he heard Ghost getting shot and the moment that he noticed Tommy entering Club Truth from outside. Because in Dre's perspective episode, he went from hearing Ghost getting shot inside of Club Truth to running out of the building, jumping into the car, and coming across Tommy all in a matter of 53 seconds. But in Tariq's perspective episode, within that same time frame, he sees Tommy with Ghost as he looks over the railing. How could that be possible when both Dre and Tommy's perspective episode shows them outside within 53 seconds after Ghost was shot? This doesn't add up one bit. If there was really nothing more to Ghost's death, then why did they choose to shoot 5 different episodes, with inaccurate dialogue and timing that doesn't match or line up with each other, instead of just shooting one entire episode? Now sure, you can say that the writers got lazy, but I don't think that was the case at all. In my opinion, this was done to leave the door open for us to question whether or not everything that we saw actually played out like it was shown, and more importantly, it was intentionally done and shot that way for everyone to suspect that Ghost didn't actually die at all. There are a number of important questions that were never answered. Like, what promise did Ghost want Tommy to keep? When we saw Tommy spend his final moments with Ghost on screen, Tommy can be heard telling Ghost that he has his word. Not to mention, why did we never see Ghost get carried out of the club onto the ambulance, or someone like Tasha identify his body at the morgue? Another major question that still has been unanswered is, why did they choose to cut out the entire conversations between Ghost and certain characters? Like Uncle Gabe, for example. When Ghost mentioned that he wanted to buy the jazz club from Uncle Gabe, and when they discussed Ghost's father getting killed, there seemed to be a part of that conversation that got cut out. And if we fast forward to when Uncle Gabe showed up to Ghost's funeral and spoke to Tariq, it's blatantly obvious that Uncle Gabe knew more than he led on to believe.
Hey, Tariq. I'm your father's uncle, Gabe. He had a good heart. For a time there, we thought we might lose him to the streets, you know. Well, everybody's got to go eventually, right? But he turned it around. Made us all proud. Just like I'm sure you're gonna make him. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Why would he be smiling at Tariq during a funeral for someone that he had love for? Another thing that no one seemed to question is, why was Ghost so persistent with Tariq agreeing to turn himself in for the death of Ray Ray, when both Ghost and Tommy assisted Tariq with getting rid of the body? If Tariq would have turned himself in, both Ghost and Tommy would have been accessories to the murder. Which is why I believe that this was all a ploy to leave Tariq no choice than to kill him for getting in the way of his future, just like he did with Breeze. There's a reason why Ghost decided to tell Tariq the full truth about Breeze. It's easy to dismiss everything as bad writing and poorly executed storytelling, but I believe that the writers and Courtney Kemp knew exactly what they were doing. We are currently right in the middle of an ongoing story about Tariq's rise to Ghost's level of power, and Ghost needed Tariq to learn the hard way on his own, to find out that it's not as easy as Tariq thought. One character that we haven't seen in quite a while is Simon Stern. After Tasha signed over Club Truth to Simon Stern in exchange for getting Tariq into Stansfield, it may seem like there's nothing more to it. But what if I told you that this was all a part of a plan in motion that was orchestrated by both Ghost and Simon Stern? In episode 10 of season 6, during Ghost's perspective, we saw Ghost introduce Tariq to Simon Stern for the very first time, where we saw Simon Stern interact with Tariq. But in Tariq's perspective, Simon Stern barely spoke to Tariq at all. I believe that there was more to Ghost and Simon Stern's conversation that we didn't see, where Ghost made Simon Stern aware of his plans to step away from everything and fake his death. And I believe that Simon Stern could have been the person who gave Ghost the idea to set up the inheritance for Tariq, with many different stipulations. I also believe that Simon Stern could have made an offer to Ghost for him to run a number of different clubs that he owned in Miami.
James, when will you realize I am your only real friend? I have a couple of development projects I'd like you to take a look at after the election. I'll talk to you soon, friend.
Ghost knew that if he left Tariq Club Truth and his inheritance, Tariq would likely end up losing the club or selling it due to his lack of business knowledge. And he knew that Tariq wouldn't have the same interest in running the club. Which is why I think that the only reason why he left Tariq Club Truth and his inheritance was because of the stipulation that was put in place for Tariq to graduate before he could get his hands on everything that he left him within that same inheritance. And since Tariq got kicked out of Choate, Ghost knew that Tariq's only option would be for Simon Stern to get him into Stansfield in exchange for signing over Club Truth. Which leads me to my next point. Once Tariq finishes college, Simon Stern will gain back full ownership of Club Truth. But Simon Stern will likely need someone to run the day-to-day operations of the club, just like Ghost did. This is why I believe that Simon Stern will end up coming in contact with Tariq to convince him to take the job. We already got somewhat of a foreshadowing during Tariq's hallucination scene at Club Truth. I believe that Tariq will see Club Truth as a place where him and Braden can host parties and events to move product and gain even more customers. No matter how many times the cast and crew of the show claim that Ghost is really dead, everything else that they have done before and after season 6 of Power says otherwise. You have to ask yourself, why did Ghost move the way that he did in those final 5 episodes? He moved with purpose and a certain swagger that we really didn't see in the first 9 episodes, and why did the writers of the show feel that it was necessary for Ghost to continuously tell all of his enemies, "Nothing can stop me," if the true purpose was for him to die in the finale? What would be the point in having Ramona tell Paz that some people are just unstoppable if she wasn't in on helping Ghost fake his death? If the true intentions were for Ghost to die, then why would they have him standing right in front of the railing at Club Truth waiting for someone to show up, instead of just having Tariq blindside him and kill him? Everything went down the way that it did for a reason, and that reason was to leave an opening for a Ghost return whenever Tariq's story fully plays out. The reason that Ghost didn't return in Power Book 2 had nothing to do with money, or Omari and 50's relationship. It had everything to do with the fact that Tariq's story was nowhere near over. Ghost was way too street smart, and had the ability to read people very easily, so there's really no chance that he didn't see Tariq coming to kill him, especially after he wanted him to turn himself in for the death of Ray Ray. One thing that was very telling throughout Power Book 2 Ghost was the different hallucination scenes that Tariq had throughout the show. I believe that those hallucinations will play a big part in Tariq and Tommy's next show, and I think that it's possible that Tariq will continue to have hallucinations with someone different telling him to answer the phone, just like we saw in the classroom dream sequence. With the latest announcement of Tariq and Tommy's new spin-off, Power Legacy, the door is open for endless possibilities, and in my next video I will go further into what they could be. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all things within the Power universe. See you all next time in the universe of Power.